Chums, welcome back to a Game with Chums podcast. With me, as always, is my ever faithful piece of eye candy, the lovable, cuddly Mr. Raws. Mr. Raws, how are you? And what have you been up to? What has been going on with your life? Tell me, I want to know everything, every little small detail.
What have I been doing?
Yes.
Not much.
No?
Starting a new job. As we're recording this, I start a new job tomorrow. So just kind of running around and trying to sort stuff out for that. So I've just kind of been finishing up a couple of games that I was playing and haven't started anything new. So I think on the last one I said I was playing Doom Eternal. I finished that and then finished the DLC a few days ago as well. And then I was playing Wolfenstein Youngblood on my Steam Deck because I'm kind of hoping a proper Wolfenstein 3 gets announced at Microsoft's showcase next month. So I thought I'd better try and catch up because I hadn't played that game. So I finished that as well a few days ago and I haven't started anything new since. So I've just been doing a bit of Halo multiplayer.
Jolly good.
Just to kind of fill the gaps and continuing to watch Fruits Basket rather.
Jolly good.
Yeah, that's about it really, not up to much.
Okay. All right.
What about yourself?
Well, thanks for asking, by the way. Yeah, I've just what have I been doing? Obviously streaming a lot. Been streaming Apex Legends, and I've been streaming Mass Effect 3. I'm near the end. I've just done the Citadel DLC. Quite fun. It's pretty good. It's like it's a love letter to Mass Effect, basically. I kind of feel like I've done that right before the attack on the assault on Cerberus headquarters, because then that leads you into the end game. I'm pretty sure I've heard people say that you can actually play it post game. So I was just like, oh, maybe I should have waited, but no, it kind of flows quite better if you have it right before the Citadel, the Cerberus assault on Cerberus. Because it's like them having a party before the big final showdown. So that was pretty good, pretty fun. A lot of additional, like, not side quests, but little character squad mates interactions, and yeah, from your all through all three games, whoever's still alive. So it's been really good. It's really like put a smile on your face. There is a story campaign to it. It's quite short, something to do with clones, but yeah, it's good. I mean, that story thing is a bit superfluous. It's more about the characters and your interactions with them. But yeah, I've been playing that and been doing Dragon Age Inquisition Origins. Got to the Red Cliff bit. Redcast, is it Red Cliff? It is Red Cliff. Yeah, got to that bit, done that bit where I saved Connor.
The Isle of Red Cliff.
Yeah, I actually did a mistake during the live stream. I actually killed Connor. And then I was like, oh wow, I wasn't supposed to do that, so I went reloaded.
That's what save scumming's for.
Yep, that's what I did, and then obviously I got the Circle of Magi involved, and then managed to send one of us into the Fade to get him back. So managed to do that. Everyone's happy. Good days.
Man, the Fade stuff is so long in that game. And I've played it like 3 times, and twice I've played a mage, and it's just like you start off in the bloody Fade. It just takes forever.
That bit when you're doing the Circle of Magi, where they transport you to the Fade, it's so long. You have to turn into a mouse, get the ability for a mouse, the fire demon. Oh, it's just so annoying, man. I was just like, I just wish this would end. It really slows the game down. But up to that point, you can do any of the recruitment any way you want. But I normally do the circle first just to get Gwen. She's a party healer, and then that bit just slows the pacing down. Just like, oh man, this is such a slog. I'm glad they got rid of that in like the subsequential sequels. But
I like the Fade as a concept. It's just like they did not execute it well in the game.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously the Fade's still in Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, but it's sort of scaled down a bit, a lot more fast paced, which is a lot better. And my camera's just gone off. Oh dear, sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Paul will be back.
Yeah, you can still hear me. Dear. Okay, I'm back. Right, technical issues over. Yeah, so I went to the cinema and watched the new Doctor Who, the
Oh, yeah, how is
Multiverse of
it?
Man. It's not bad. It's got mixed reviews. Obviously, like people were expecting more than what they got. I won't spoil anything, but I still
Sam Raimi, isn't it?
Sam Raimi.
Sorry,
It's very Sam Raimi-esque film. There's a lot of Sam Raimi bits in it. A lot of Evil Dead sort of callbacks and sort of stylized sort of horror. But I thought it was good, and I don't understand the negativity it's got. It's another worthy addition into the MCU cinematic universe, which I feel like people are waiting for it to fail.
Mm.
I think there's superhero fatigue, and people every new Marvel film that's come out, apart from No Way Home, is being criticized, which I don't understand why, because I quite like this whole universe. It keeps going. I don't care. Like people say it's anti-cinema and blah blah blah. It's a lot of snobs and stuff like that. It's just saying it's not real cinema. Oh, yes, it is. It's successful. People are just jealous. Its quality still up there. The acting's great. Special effects are great. I don't know what people are complaining for. It's just I'm just like just enjoy the film. So you want to enjoy it. It's just being like we're being like old men now, complaining about everything. But yeah, I saw that. Good. I'll recommend it. A strong 7.7.5. I'll give it. It's pretty strong. I mean, people saying that's the end of Marvel. I'm like, come on, man. Did you not see Thor: The Dark World or Iron Man 2 or 3? Come on,
Iron Man 3.
those films were pretty bad, man.
I honestly like Thor: The Dark World, but Iron Man 3 is a step too far. I think that's a genuinely bad film.
Yeah. So I would recommend going to see it if you haven't seen it already, man. Going to your local cinema, go in a nice posh cinema like I do, the Everyman. And
Mr. La-dee-da.
I can't do doing with the View or Odeons anymore, man. I taste the best. And
tasted the nectar of the gods.
It's only like it's £14 for a ticket, and it's probably like £2 more than say an Odeon or Review. So what? Just spend the extra £2 and you'll have a better viewing experience because of, as we know, Odeons people kick your seats. Seats are too close together. People take your armrests and just do sort of like take it over like that, and you just feel like you're stuck like that. Well, there it's got your own couch and stuff. Everyone's got their own armrests. The seats are so far forward. Even if you stretch your legs, you can't unless you're extremely tall. You can't kick the back, and it's all like wood anyway. So even if they put your feet on it, you don't feel it. So it's good, man. I would recommend going like Pitch Houses or Everyman's. But yeah, and then apart from the cinema, I've been watching some anime. Been watching Spy X Family.
So you're not one of these anime fans that doesn't watch anime?
No, I'm not the anime man. No, he apparently doesn't watch anime anymore. Just reads manga. But yeah, I've been watching that. Watched the first few episodes on Crunchyroll.
I've heard good things about it.
It's pretty good. It's fun. It's nice. It's I don't know if you're aware of the concept.
Yeah, I've read like a synopsis for sort of like a plot setup for it. So I've got a vague idea.
So I would just recommend going to watch it. It's available on Crunchyroll. First few episodes are free, and then it goes to premium, which I see noticed Crunchyroll doing a lot these days. They're putting everything behind a premium wall.
Didn't realize they were doing that. I thought it was just all the free, because the free's ad supported, isn't it?
Yeah, but now it's like I think
changing that up, are they?
Demon Slayer season 2 is all locked behind, even though it's been finished for a while. Still locked behind premium wall.
I had no idea they were doing that because obviously I've got premium anyway because the ads are just atrocious.
Yeah, the ads are ridiculous.
Yeah, when I was trying to cut back on everything, I was like, right, I'm gonna have to like stop my subscriptions, and I was like, Crunchyroll's fine, I'll just watch it with ads for a while, and then I was like, I got like a week into it, I was like, I can't do this, I've got to pay for Crunchyroll. The ads are just constant. They're so annoying.
How much is it? It's like £7 a month, or you get
$6.50 a month now. Yeah. It used to be $5, and it was like I remember when they put it up to $6.50. I was like, I'm not even going to begrudge them that because it's like the $5 a month it was an absolute steal, and $6.50 is still cheap.
Haven't they done a merger with Funimation, or they someone bought one out?
Sony bought Crunchyroll, didn't they? And they had already owned Funimation. So I think they're kind of in the process of merging it. So some stuff has already sort of made its way across. But I was really worried when Sony announced they were acquiring that because I was like, God, I hope they keep Crunchyroll around and get rid of Funimation because Every time I've had to use Funimation, it's been a fucking horrible experience. That website sucks.
I'm a big fan of Crunchyroll. I think the user interface is really good, clean.
Yeah, Crunchyroll just works. That's all you want, really.
It's good. It's good to use. But yeah, so I've been just doing that really, mate, and just getting ready for MCM, which we will be attending on the Saturday the 29th.
28th.
28th, is it? Oh, it is the 20th, 27th on this Friday. So yeah, we'll be there wandering around, probably lurking in the bars. We seem to do that a lot.
Looking forward to it. I haven't been to a MCM since 2019, so I'm quite excited. Even though you guys went last year and said it was terrible, but still, I'm excited.
It wasn't the best one. It wasn't the worst. It definitely was scaled back. A lot of dealers weren't there. The big hitters, they weren't there, which is understandable because it was just after a month or two after the lockdown was lifted. So it's understandable, and I could see why they didn't want to come there because the numbers were still quite high in the UK. It was a lot more. They had that. It was spread out a lot more. Normally, it's very congested. Yeah. It was spread out a lot, so you had so much space, which I hope they would keep for this one. It's so much better like that. It's just like it can like move around and without having to be like ushered away from everything because of the crowds.
But I remember that time we went on a Saturday when we'd been going on a Sunday for a few years, and it was just madness. It was like there were so many people there that the crowd was just like in a constant state of movement. So if you tried to stop and look at everything, the people behind you just pushed you along. So you just kind of got carried by the crowd. So you're going past things, going, "Oh, that looks pretty cool." So you get pushed along past it.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully it won't be like that.
I'm going to take more advantage of the fact that we go to MCM and probably buy some stuff because I've been holding back like the last times we went before the lockdown. So it's because like we go to it like every year and we go to the summer event and the winter event. So we sort of like take it for granted. But this time I'm planning to spend a bit of money because I get paid the Friday. So I'm going to buy some swag, drink some beer and eat some food and, just immerse myself a bit more into it. Yeah, just immerse myself a lot more into it. And so I'm looking forward to it. We'll probably do a video on it and we'll definitely be doing a lucky bag video. I'm planning to do
new YouTube meta.
I'm planning to do a lucky bag video for every con we go to. So we got like Hyper Japan and probably EGX. Probably if we go to that in September, do one for that. And the London Anime and Gaming Con, which will be coming up again in August, we'll be doing one for that as well. Which I'm glad that's growing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we could do like a podcast on like anime cons in the UK and talk about that. But yeah, I'm glad it's growing, man, and it can only get bigger. It's still very indie at the moment. Maybe that's the way they want it to keep it. But I do think it will benefit from having sponsors and sort of bigger sort of not corporate, but like a big not like it's like a mainstream presence. Because it is just getting bigger, and that's the way you want to grow your cons, really, don't you? I'm sure the indie like sort of salesman probably will disagree with me because
people on Artist Alley won't be happy.
No, because it is very much seems
it's
like
very grassroots, but
grassroots.
It is getting bigger, and like the venue that they're in now is way better.
It's way better.
Metropolitan University,
a lot bigger, and yeah, I mean, I still have some fondness for the old venue just because we went there so many times at the Met, but
it was so small though.
So small.
There was no room to grow in that venue.
Yeah, but that's a good sign that they've changed venue. They're growing. So yeah, looking forward to it, man. But yeah, let's move on to gaming news, man. What has been happening in the world of video games, Mr. Ross? Hit me with the facts.
Well, in the realm of Xbox, the sky has fallen and Xbox is now dead. Doesn't exist anymore.
Has no games.
There will never be any other games, and Game Pass is a failure. So, rip Xbox. Had a good run, 20 just over 20 years, and now it's time to put them to rest.
Take it out back, shoot it.
Yep, it's done.
So it's finished.
Can never recover because a couple of games got delayed by a few months.
Mm-hmm. So what's that about them rules?
Redfall and Starfield, which were both slated for this year. Redfall was announced last E3 or sort of E3 timeframe when they had their showcase as a sort of co-op online shooter from Arcane with vampires, which is probably not the first thing people think of when they think of Arcane anyway. You think of like Dishonored and Prey and stuff like that. But then like they just put Deathloop out, which was quite different from their older stuff anyway. So they try new things. They're a very creative team. So I was quite interested to see where they go with it. And it was slated for summer 2022. And Starfield was dated last year, if you remember, 11/11/22. And they've both been pushed back into 2023, which means that Xbox currently have no first-party games all this year because they haven't put any out yet, and we are at the end of May. So they've gone 5 months without putting any games out. The only two that had dates have been pushed back. So yeah, it's not a good look. I mean, obviously people are going a bit far with it, but it's not a great look. And as far as people know, there's nothing else coming this year because that's all that was announced and dated. So it's quite possible that Xbox go all of 2022 with no first party games, which is mad, quite frankly, and disappointing. Like when I saw the news, I was like, oh, that sucks. Oh well, because the games, if they need to be delayed, they need to be delayed. We're going to get a better game out of it at the end of the day. And I don't think any of us are hurting for stuff to play. I've got if everyone in the world stopped making video games now, I'd probably be okay for like 15 years with the backlog I've got and all the games that currently exist. So it's not like I'm hurting for things to play, but it's a bit disappointing. Mm-hmm. But they've got their showcase coming up on the 12th of June, so some stuff might get announced. They've got that As Dusk Falls narrative game on the slate that could possibly be this year. People are kind of hoping Wolfenstein 3 gets announced and released this year, which wouldn't be unprecedented. Those games tend to have a short announcement to release schedule, and it's been about enough time for Wolfenstein 3 to get made. I'm really hoping for that because I love the Wolfenstein reboot games. So they might have one or two things, but as it stands now, it's looking like a very barren 2023. But I mean, every game in the world is getting delayed at this point. Like everyone's been hit by delays, whether they're internal or external. A lot of stuff's getting delayed that we never hear about because they just didn't date it to begin with. But then like God of War Ragnarok was dated 2021 when they announced it, and nobody still knows when that's coming out in the middle of 2022. So everyone's getting hit with delays. It is what it is. COVID's kind of screwed the entire world up, and we're still kind of dealing with the aftermath, including the fact that the virus is still out there, and we're not testing anymore because apparently it's over. And now we've got monkeypox as well, Paul.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Monkeypox, something
never ending.
I'm just waiting for the inevitable. What people are waiting for, the zombie apocalypse. It's what we're all waiting for, really. So
we're working our way towards it with all these zoonotic diseases.
I mean, that's what everyone really wants, isn't it? They want that.
Oh yeah, I don't think they want that.
No, there is people who want it because like fiction, video games, films, everything seems to revolve around bloody zombies. So I mean, I'm a bit sick of it at the moment, but either infected or you know what I mean. Like it's just they're not really zombies; they're infected. Oh, yes, they are. They're fucking zombies, man. Just shut up. But yeah, man, not great. The delays. I think I'm hoping. This is my own assumptions that it's to avoid this work practice of was it crunch work hours. So you don't want to release a half-baked project these days, like especially with the scrutiny that these games are going to come under. So they want to,
especially in the wake of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean,
how much of a mess that was.
Yeah, they really want to get this sort of down. So I'm more than happy for them to sort of delay it and polish it more, get all the bugs out, because this is like a highly anticipated game, especially Starfield. So I'm more than happy for it to come out. I mean, I'm disappointed, but if it has to be delayed for reasons in terms of quality, I'm more than happy for it. I mean, things get delayed all the time, so I'm happy for that, because I just don't want it to be a scenario where it's like, ooh, Cyberpunk. Do you know what I mean? They still released it, but there's no previous gem version of it coming. So I'm hopefully they can just concentrate on next gen games. So the next gen version. So I'm more than happy for it. It's annoying, but
yeah, I mean, millions of people are still playing Skyrim, like 11 and a half years after it came out. So people are going to probably be playing Starfield for years to come.
mm-hmm.
So like a 6-month delay, or whatever it ends up being. I forgot to mention they said it was delayed until the first half of 2023. So it should be out by like June next year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 6-month delay, 7 months max. It's not the end of the world if you're probably going to be playing the game for a decade, like especially on PC where you can just mod the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, better they take the time and get it right and launch it in a good state. Because this is Bethesda as well. Their games are very complex, and there's always potential for bugs. I know people give them a lot of shit about that, but there's good reason why their games can be a bit buggy because of how bloody complex there are. However, how many moving parts, and the fact that the game has to track every single item in the world and stuff like that. Whereas, like, pretty much no other game does that. So, you want to make sure you're coming out of the traps as good as you can do, really. So, yeah, I'm not mad about it.
I ain't mad at you.
I just think it's a bit of a bad look for Xbox. They didn't have anything else, but I guess we'll find out next month if they've got anything else. I think they will have one or two things, but we'll see.
Not the big hitters.
Not the big hitters. Well, unless they do announce Wolfenstein 3, that's a pretty big game. So fingers crossed for that, because I really want that.
Yeah, but yeah. Any other gaming news, Mr. Ross?
FIFA can't be called FIFA anymore.
No, can't.
I'll be honest, I didn't really read much about this story because I don't care about FIFA. But
well, the short of it is that FIFA were asking for close to $1 billion for the naming rights from EA, and EA said no. And so FIFA were like, well, you can't use the naming rights anymore. And EA were like, okay, we'll just rebrand it as EA Play FC, which is a terrible name.
it is.
Because EA actually own they built the game, so they own it, they can use it, but it just has to be rebranded, which is no big loss, because like they release FIFA's released every year, and it's the same game with slight tweaks and sometimes even more buggy than the previous ones, so it's no big loss. I mean, like, to have the FIFA brand is quite huge, but I can't, if EA can't afford it, I don't see any other publishers that are willing to pay what FIFA are asking for $1 billion. What other publishers can do that?
I think it's less about not being able to afford it and more about not wanting to pay.
Well, yeah, sorry,
they
not wanting to pay it.
Absurd amounts of money off of FIFA Ultimate Team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they make absurd amounts of money, but who else is going to be willing to pay $1 billion?
I don't think anyone else is going to be too.
And not just pay it; they have to build the game. They have to build it again.
That makes me wonder, though, what are they going to call FIFA Ultimate Team now? Because everybody calls it FUT, which makes me laugh every time I hear that.
Yeah, I mean,
what are they going to call it now? Yeah,
it's FIFA 23 is coming out this year. And then after that, EA will be calling it EA Play FC, which is, like I said, horrible name. But yeah, I mean, it's a big loss to have FIFA gone, but EA are planning to release a few games,
I mean,
next year.
Has it been 28 years since the first one came out? So it's like ending a 28-year run of it being called FIFA.
Indeed, yeah. But yeah, anything else, Mr. Ross? We can move on from that. We don't have to talk too much about that.
Well, speaking of EA,
yes,
a story came out a couple of days ago as of recording this that they're interested in a merger with another entity. And I've got a story up here from Kotaku who are sourcing a report by Puck, who I've never heard of. Yeah, apparently EA are looking to merge with a big media company. I recently pursued a merger with NBC Universal because the boss of Comcast, who owns NBC Universal, was interested in spinning that business off. And there was some discussion about spinning that off and merging it with EA. And apparently EA's been quite interested in this kind of thing. They've apparently spoken to Disney, Apple, and Amazon about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're quite insistent on Andrew Wilson remaining the CEO of the merged entity. So it sounds like the NBC Universal one kind of broke down over pricing, apparently. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I didn't think, like, obviously there's a lot going on right now with acquisitions and mergers and stuff, and like Tencent and Embrace are like investing in or buying up everyone. Microsoft are buying up loads. Sony are buying Bungie at the moment. And yeah, I'm surprised that EA are looking to sell or merge, because they are very successful and they make a shit ton of money. So I don't know. I guess the idea for them is if they merge into another company, then they make even more money. And if they keep Andrew Wilson in as CEO of the merged entity, then they're basically essentially remain EA in spirit, but they just have more money and power. So I guess I can see the deal from that angle. But apparently they've grown even more interested in it since the Microsoft Activision deal was announced. So I don't know. Like, what do EA do if they get bigger? Are they going to try and launch their own platform? Who knows?
Probably. I don't know. It's maybe they have their own like Game Pass. Well, they do, don't they?
EA Play.
EA Play, yeah. So yeah, don't know. It's weird, man. Like, it seems like people are buying more. I don't know what Microsoft has kicked off. It's just like they bought. It's that sent shockwaves when they bought Bethesda, and now they're doing it with Activision. It's huge now. Everyone seems to be trying to merge or buy, and
that's the thing. I think they've
consolidate.
Kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons, and now everyone's like, "Oh shit, we've got to buy stuff while there's still stuff to buy." Just grab whatever we can.
It's I don't know if I really like this, but I guess this is the way it's going. It's just everyone's consolidating, merging, buying, selling. It's
yeah, but then by the same token, you've got new studios constantly being spun up. Like a bunch of people. Oh yeah, but a bunch of people from Bungie have gone and started new studios. Like, well, I think one of them is like partnering with Sony for a game at the moment, and then like Glenn Schofield from Visceral, one of the creators of Dead Space, went and started a new studio, Striking Distance, and they're putting out Dead Space spiritual successor called Callisto Protocol sometime this year. So like, I think it's going to be kind of a natural ebb and flow. People are going to like snatch everything up, and then people are going to want out of the corporate machine and then start their own studios, and then it'll probably keep churning like that. Yeah, it's interesting to see how it'll go. I'm interested to see what happens with EA, if anything, because it's, it just kind of came out of nowhere for me. I've got to be honest. I didn't think they were interested in selling or merging or anything. Yeah, just see where it goes, I guess. I think that's about gonna do it for the news section.
Yeah, we'll get onto our main topic in just a sec. Should we stop this and then
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ross, we're going to talk about the topic of the podcast, which is music in gaming. Essentially, like soundtracks, particular songs from particular games that stand out, that we love, that we have on Spotify and stuff like that. Stuff that's resonates with us, like as we were growing up and shit and stuff. So like we're just gonna get into this. So I'm gonna start off. I know, I get it. All right, man, I get it. I swing on the nuts of BioWare, especially classic.
You? Never.
No, it's true.
I've never heard this.
I mean, like, I do have a big love for BioWare, particularly, I want to say the golden age of BioWare, where they produce games like Knights of the Republic, Jade Empire, Dragon Age and Mass Effect, that sort of period there, which I consider the peak BioWare. So yeah, I'm just going to start off like those getting music in those games. Particularly, I want to go back and give like Jade Empire some more love, because I think that's like the ginger-headed stepchild of BioWare, especially during that period. Because even though they didn't get the love I think it deserved, it's still a good game. I mean, that game is probably better than a lot of studios' games that they produced at the time, which I think was 2005 when that came out. And who was the guy who was the composer? Was it Mark? Was it Mark Iand? Let me just look up for that, because I know they have like some composers on there. Jack Wall, sorry, Jack Wall. He was the composer. Yeah, because they normally have Jeremy Soule, but for this one they had Jack Wall, who's quite underrated, I think. I mean, that soundtrack was pretty banging, man. I mean, I remember when I played it when I was in university, and I remember I bought the game at the local mall shopping center, as we call it, and it was a Saturday. It might have been a bank holiday weekend, so I had no class and nothing. So I bought that game. On my way, I stopped at a co-op, and I bought myself a big crate of 24 pack of Beck's beer. I think it was Beck's it was Budweiser.
Weekend for Paul.
It was Budweiser, and the old 330ml Coke cans. It's like, that's it. It's my weekend. So I locked myself in the room. Didn't go out. Didn't go to any Didn't meet up with any of my roommates or flatmates or anything. Didn't go to the clubs. Stayed in there and played that. Completed it in like 3 days. And I just remember what standing out for me was like the soundtrack, and I was just like, damn, this soundtrack slaps some serious ass. It's probably because of the Eastern sort of influences, the Chinese influence it had, which really made it stand out. It moved me, man. So the main theme for Dragon Age, which I would love to play a clip, but obviously we don't want to get copyright claimed or anything like that.
You mean Jade Empire?
What did I say?
Dragon Age.
Oh, did I say Dragon Age? Sorry, Jade Empire. Yeah, getting confused. But yeah, the main thing from Dragon Age. I got Dragon Age on the brain because I'm doing a stream of it. For Jade Empire, man, brilliant, man. That on the loading menu, on the main menu, when you're building your characters, it's just so good, man. And
I'll be honest, we did a full Let's Play of Jade Empire on the channel, and I can't remember the music at all.
Oh my god, how dare you!
I genuinely don't remember any of it.
How dare you? Man, it was a while ago, and you've only played it. Well, you watched me play it once, and it's a game. I think I'm surprised you haven't done your own little sort of your own little playthrough of it.
It's kind of on my. I put it on my to-do list after we did the Let's Play, because I was like, I just somehow never got around to it when it came out. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Let's Play we did of it, and I was thinking, at some point I'll play it myself. I just haven't got around to it.
It's not a long game either. It's about 30 hours, and you got the special edition available on like Steam and shit. So it's always worth playing. And you got your Steam Deck now, so you probably can just play that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah,
see if it'll run on the Steam Deck.
I mean, yeah, like that's how I'm gonna like just kick it off. Like I think the Jade Empire, composed by Jack Wall, that soundtrack is brilliant. You can get the soundtrack. It's available on Spotify. So if you want to give it yourself a listen, just like that soundtrack and give it a listen, man. But it's got some banging tracks on there, man. The Water Dragon track, it's great.
I'm sure it's good because it's Jack Wall, who also did the soundtrack for Mass Effect 1, which is fantastic.
Yeah, the ending song. He didn't do that, but that ending song sort of came out of nowhere, and it's just like, whoa, this wasn't what I was expecting. I can't remember the band.
Part 2 by Fonts.
Yeah, brilliant.
That song is just like the ending of Mass Effect. Like Shepard's like, it's just standing there.
I like the way it just freezes on Shepard just standing there like
looking out to the sky.
Yeah, I was like, that's a bit cheese, but
the way it ends like that with like Shepard basically telling the council it's not over and bigger threats are coming, and then that song starts up. I was just like, goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
So I'd never heard of that band before that.
That's the only song I know of.
That song was just absolutely perfect for the credits of Mass Effect.
It's a shame
and then I think they used another one for Mass Effect 2, but I can't remember what the song was called.
I don't think they had a band play. I think it was just it's just this part of the soundtrack.
One of the other, it was either Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3 had another Font song.
Did it? I can't remember.
I can't remember which one it was.
I just remember it was the Suicide music that was playing at the end. The Suicide Run. I think that played on the credits. Dun, 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 dun. I'm doing a really poor imitation of it. But that build up on the Suicide Run soundtrack was great, especially when you're running away from the collector base and the music just playing in the background. It's so good. But man, let me know.
It might have been number 3 that had it. I can't remember now.
I can't remember the ending to number 3 because I've only completed once, maybe twice, but I don't remember the music on it.
Yeah, I've completed Mass Effect 1 like 6 times.
Yeah,
I've done 2 twice, and I've done 3 once.
Yeah,
and that was when it came out, so I can't remember. Literally, the last time I played through Mass Effect 2 was. Oh, hello. My camera's gone dead now. More technical difficulties. These cameras are great, Paul. But yeah, the last time I played Mass Effect 2 was just before 3 came out. So it's been a long while since I played that one too. Whereas Mass Effect 1 soundtrack, I know really well because I've played it quite a few times. The other 2 games I can't remember much of, if I'm honest, because it's been so long since I played them.
I just remember what really stood out from Mass Effect 2 was the Suicide Run on the collector base. That song there stood out. It's like the big orchestral drums and everything. Dun 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 dun. Remember that? It was good. It fitted the Suicide Run really well.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like Shepard. You fight against impossible odds. And I remember the music at the background going dun 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 dun. Yeah, man. Give that a listen.
Jack Waller's on 2 as well, but I think he was part of a team at that point. I don't think it was solely Jack Wall. Yeah, 3. I feel like 3 was someone else. I can't remember though.
I don't really rate the music on. Actually, there was a song on there that I liked. It was the main theme from Mass Effect, a really mournful song. Dun 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 dun. Remember that? That was quite sad.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was someone else on 3.
Someone else. But anyway, man,
there's a bunch of someone else's. Clint Mansell is the name I always remember. Actually,
what about yourself, man? Like, you name a track or game or anything like that you.
Well, do I have it to hand? No, it's on the other shelf. Halo soundtracks, obviously, like one I was going to mention. I've got I have all the Halo soundtracks on disc.
Just a sec.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of anytime someone thinks about music in games, Halo is always going to get brought up because it was just so different. Like when Halo CE came out and you load up the game and then you've got the monks chanting on the title screen.
Yeah, the sort of like that gave that sort of like a, I don't know, like not a religious thing, but it did sound like something.
It was kind of like religious
from the from the Dark Ages, that sort of thing.
Well, it was like Gregorian monks, wasn't it?
Oh,
and that's lasted so long that it's basically been in every Halo game, and it's like if it's missing, then people get really, really upset. I think Halo 4 was the first one that didn't have any like Gregorian chanting in it, and people were like, "Where's the chants? What happened to my Halo monks?" Yeah, I think it works because obviously, like, the Covenant are like zealously religious of the Forerunners, so I think it kind of works in that context. And it does kind of lend it this almost sort of like it's a big shiny sci-fi game, but it lends it this kind of mythic feel, which was always kind of there in Halo anyway, because obviously like the Forerunners have been gone for 100,000 years and they've left behind bits of their technology, and there's another collection of alien races that like reveres them, so it always kind of had that mythic quality to it, and I think the music just elevated that. But then obviously you've got like the upbeat kind of action stuff like the bit you were doing, and that just sort of underscores what's going on in the game so well. For me, the track I love the most is One Final Effort from Halo 3. It's just a constantly sort of driving action kind of music, but just really melodic and kind of orchestral. And then the way it just kind of soothes out at the end is really good. Yeah, like anything by Marty O'Donnell, and like I feel like the Halo Reach soundtrack is massively underrated. People never seem to bring that up. I think that honestly might be his best work. But the music from the main trilogy holds a special place because it's the main trilogy. But Reach kind of the music in Reach is like every piece is like a musical suite. It's like a move. It's like a piece of music with various movements through them, and it just feels very orchestral. I really like it. And then he did stuff for Destiny, and I have issues with Destiny, which I think we've spoken about. But like the music in Destiny 1 was still really good. It felt very much like an evolution from Reach, but kind of is still its own thing in a way. It also had that really sort of mythic kind of mysterious quality to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man, that's a good choice, dude. I really like that soundtrack. Well, any like soundtrack, especially from the original trilogy, just gets you going, man. It just gets it really fits in with like particular levels and scenes from that game, from that trilogy. It's just so good, man. Yeah, like you say, I think Reach being my favorite Halo game, the soundtrack's quite underrated as well. It doesn't really get talked about as much. It's like the mainline Halo games.
I think it's because like the previous games had like quite distinct tracks, whereas like the Reach soundtrack is more like movements rather than like specific like 4-minute songs or anything. They're like 10-minute long sort of like musical journeys basically. So I think they're probably less easily digestible than stuff like One Final Effort or stuff from the other older stuff from the other games, which is probably why.
Do you remember how many times have you completed Dragon Age Origins? Once or twice or
twice? I think 2, maybe 3 times.
Do you remember the ending song to that? Do you remember what band it was? So I know which band it was, but I'm just asking if you remember. It was called "This Is War," but
no.
By 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
Janet Leader.
Now I remember. Why have you done this to me?
I didn't even know who Janet Leader was at that time. I remember he was in Fight Club, but I didn't know him as an actor. I was just like, who's this band? And I looked it up. I was, oh, he's a Hollywood actor. And at that time, 2009, I'm not too sure he had many big film roles. But yeah, it was his band, and This Is War, which kind of fitted in. And I quite liked it when I first come out. It was just like, this is war. I was like, all right, cool. And then I remember like the ending song to Dragon Age 2 was
that
by
one
Florence,
I do remember.
Florence and the Machine.
That's a really good track.
Yeah. I got calling you a liar. And I listened to the original track that that she released, and it's slightly different.
It's really stripped back.
Yeah.
Whereas like the edit that Bio did for it is like really ornate and orchestral. It's a really good version of the song. That one I do remember because I remember liking it.
But yeah, man, like I want to talk about like others like games if we can. Like I'm thinking like we said, I think we said in the previous podcast that we're big Final Fantasy fans. Well, you're quite a big Final Fantasy fan. I'm quite big, but I'm not as big as you. As I can see there on your behind you, you got is that Final Fantasy? What is that? I can't. The cameras. That yeah,
that's a Final Fantasy 14 PS3 limited edition.
There you are. I'm a big fan there.
I also have like, hold on. This is from the limited edition of Endwalker, which came out last year. So yeah, I do like me some Final Fantasy 14, and I'm not going to get up and get it because it's on the other side of the room. But I've got the vinyl box set of the Final Fantasy 14 LPs as well. So there's like an LP. I think there's like 8 tracks on each one. So there's like a box of 4, and you've got like an LP for A Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. And I love the music from 14. It's so good.
What would you say is your favorite music from the Final Fantasy games? Do you have any particular game that's like you say has the best music, or?
I think at this point it's 14, just because there's
14.
so much of it and it's so consistent. Like,
Mhm.
because obviously it's been going for 9 years at this point, so there's just so much music there, and it's. I just want to. Obviously, he's not going to see this, but I'd want to give a shout out to Masayoshi Soken, the composer of 14, the main composer, because he's just done such a ridiculously good job with the soundtracks throughout the years, and even continued making music while he was trying to get over cancer, and which ended up with a particularly emotional moment at FanFest when he kind of announced that he kind of went through it in secret.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came out on stage at FanFest and announced that he'd had cancer and he was in remission. And just sort of like, just a really emotional moment where he was like thanking people in the company like Naoki Yoshida, the director of FF14 and stuff. And they were basically just like both standing there trying not to cry. And it was just like, but yeah, like the music for Final Fantasy 14 is so good.
Mm.
Don't even know if I can pick out particular songs because there's just amazing songs in every single expansion. But I think the one, if I had to pick one song, I'd probably mention Answers, just because it's been with me for so long, like the opening song from the original. I think it might have been in Final Fantasy 14 1.0 as well, and they reused it for 2.0. And then at the end of Endwalker, they kind of come back around to it and sort of like reference the lyrics of it and stuff, which is just very cool. But that was actually, I think that was Uematsu that did that. And there's another name you can't discuss video game music without mentioning, Nobuo Uematsu.
Oh yes.
For all of the classic Final Fantasy soundtracks.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like, yeah, he
I can't be bothered to get it. I've got a Final Fantasy 7 soundtrack down there signed by him, but it's like under a load of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he was the man back in the day. He's like every game, there'll be like distinctive tracks and stuff in there. He'd be really good, man. Like we said, we've been to Distant Worlds a few times. I think 3 times now.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
and then that Final Symphony one as well.
Yeah,
they put on, and he was there, and that's where we got stuff signed by him.
Oh yeah, shit. Where was that, in the Barbican?
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, damn. God, man, been to so much geeky crap. So forget about it. I don't know where my signed stuff is. It's signed somewhere. God damn.
Unbelievable level of respect shown to these cultural items.
Cultural item. I don't want to go that far, but yeah, in the geek.
Mine's on the shelf down there. It's just on the bottom, and there's just others. It's not. There's not. I don't want to sound like I piled loads of stuff on top of it. It's just on the bottom shelf, and I can't be bothered to get it.
I think I got something Final Fantasy 7 related signed. I have to
Probably.
Look for it.
Yeah, I got Final Fantasy 7 soundtrack signed by Uematsu, and my Final Fantasy 13 soundtrack signed by Hamauzu, which is a really underrated soundtrack. I know people love to clown on 13, and there are good reasons to clown on it, but the soundtrack is really good, and I really like the soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean, like, you've played 10 too, right? I mean, that whole game is just basically one pop video, isn't it, really?
I've played like an hour of it.
You didn't. You played the opening.
Yeah.
1,000? Is that on it? Is it 1,000 words? Which one's the opening song?
Real Emotion.
Oh yeah. She's singing there, and then like the other two are just like snakes sneaking around, like hitting guards or something. So what's going on here? She became she became an idol. It was weird from priestess to an idol.
Yeah, it was a weird flex going from Final Fantasy 10 to 10-2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always meant to play it, but if I'm going to play it, I want to get the true ending, and it sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare to get the true ending in that game, so I've just never bothered.
Yeah, I mean, that from that game, what stood out, I've not actually played it. I got it sealed. Still haven't opened it on PS2. Is the 1,000 words. It's 1,000 words, 1,000. And I just remember that was like from what I knew of the game. Obviously, like Yuna had like a costume change and everything like that. It was like, oh, she's showing a lot more flesh.
And guns for some reason.
And dual wielding guns. But she was a summoner, but now that Sin was gone, there wasn't much need for a summoner anymore.
So time to sing instead.
It's just time to like give the people a good time. They've been through hell. Like, come on, man, like, make them happy.
Put on a show.
Yeah. But yeah, that just stood out for me, and I was just like, wow, what's this about? But I do like Ten's soundtrack. I think Ten's got pretty good
Ten's
soundtrack.
got a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Some fantastic songs in there. Fantastic soundtrack. The mood of that soundtrack just summed up the game perfectly. It was so good.
Yeah. Obviously, there's two Zanarkand, which plays when you go to Zanarkand, which is the one everyone knows, which is an amazing piece of music. And I remember when the first time we went to Distant Worlds, we were like, oh, they have to play to Zanarkand. But I think my favourite piece of music in Final Fantasy X is Calm Before the Storm, which plays in Macalania Woods, which is it's just really a haunting piece of music. It's really good. It's kind of like oddly calm yet haunting. It's a weird vibe, but it's very good.
What's the song that's sort of like the unofficial theme to Final Fantasy X? And it plays
Tekidane.
Yeah, that one. That was great, man.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. I mean, I think in the game, did they play the Japanese version, or was it localized? It was the Japanese one, wasn't it? Yeah. And they're sitting in they had like just a musical version of it, and they also when that scene happens, they played the proper song, and it just fitted in really well. I don't want to spoil it, even though the game's like God knows how old now. There's a scene between Titus and Yuna where she breaks down and he comforts her, and it just sort of really fits in well. I mean, that brought a smile to this jaded person you see before you. I mean, I'm normally like, that sort of shit don't move me.
Heart of stone.
I know people talk about it on like videos and go, oh, I nearly cried when I watched this film or this anime or
and you're like that.
I'm just like, oh, come on, man. No, I mean, it moves me, but it doesn't bring me to tears. I'm just like, no, like I've got other things like that will bring me to tears. I don't know, tears of joy or sadness, or I don't know, man. But yeah, that sort of that piece of music got me there. I was just like, oh, wow. And the like sticking with Final Fantasy, when Eris dies and that music plays.
Wow, Paul, spoilers. It's only been 25 years.
Yeah.
Give people a chance.
I mean, goddamn. But that bit of music what plays at the end was really
Eris's theme, yeah.
That probably that's the one
that is perfect. Like in that moment, that music is perfect.
I mean, I always wanted to hit. We went to Distant World 3 times, and the previous 2 times they never played it, and I was like, they got to play it. And on the third one, they did play it because I think because Final Fantasy Remake I think that wasn't was it being released about that time, wasn't it? 2019, 20?
Yeah,
it was like promoting
they're probably talking about it
because they were playing a lot of music from 7.
Because when did it come out? 2020, didn't it?
Yeah, 2020 during lockdown, the first big lockdown. And I remember that when we went to the Distant World the year previous, and I remember they playing a lot of Final Fantasy 7 songs just to probably promote it and stuff. But they played it, and it was worth the wait, man. I was like, I'm so glad I came. It was so moving.
I love the way in the game as well, like the fight following that music just continues playing. Like it's not replaced by the battle music.
Yeah.
It's really effective.
Yeah, I mean, like people say that's when gamers say they learned how to cry. I didn't cry, but I got really sad. I was like, oh, that's a bit sad, isn't it?
I remember before I played Final Fantasy VII, my friend Rob was playing it at the time, and like that was the first Final Fantasy game that came out here. So we pretty much didn't know anything about the series until 7 came out, and I didn't really pay it any attention. My mate Rob was playing it, and we were at school, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to play it." And I was like, oh, "I'm probably never going to play it. Just tell me what it's about." And he was like, "Oh, you get to this bit, and the main heroine gets killed." And then, like, the whole time you're like, no, she's going to get up. They're not just going to kill her. And she never gets up. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Whatever, man.
And then, like, when he finished disc 1, he, like, brought it in school. He was like, please play the game. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll play it. And then I ended up loving it. And I got to that point. I got to the same point, borrowing the discs off him until I managed to buy my own copy. And I was like, when Ares died, I was like, no, she ain't dead. She's going to get up. She's not getting up. Like, even though I knew it was going to happen because he told me, assuming I was never going to play it. I was like, I was disbelieving, and it still had an impact, even though I knew it was going to happen, which is kind of strange, really. But I think it's just how well constructed that scene is. I mean, obviously, it looks a bit primitive now, 25 years later. But in 1997, 1998, whenever it was, I actually got around to playing it. Maybe that was just so well done at the time. I shudder to think what they're going to do with it in the remake, because they're changing things about. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think they've even changed Aeris's theme song slightly. They've altered it. So I think I've listened to the soundtrack on Spotify. It's altered and it doesn't sound as good. So
I'm going to be honest, the music didn't stand out to me in the remake. I can't remember any of it, which is a weird thing to say when I have like 4-disc soundtracks of Final Fantasy propping up my shelf.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember the opening mission, the bombing mission. That was still the same.
Yeah, that was just basically a modern version of the original.
But yeah, a lot of the music didn't really stand out as much to me. Well, I mean, we could go on about like the remake and how
that's what our spoiler cast was for. So go and watch that if you want to watch us shit talk that game.
I mean, I liked it more than what you did, but yeah, like I definitely not very happy with its direction it's going in. But yeah, man, like Final Fantasy. I mean, like who doesn't like Final Fantasy soundtracks, man? I mean, I think everyone's got a particular favorite. My particular favorite it fluctuates between 7 and 10. I've not played 15, sorry. So I can't really say, but I've heard that's got some good tracks.
It's got a handful of good tracks. Ones that I can remember, like Somnus that plays on the title screen, which fans have been hearing for years because they used it in like Versus 13 trailers and stuff. And Apocalypsis Noctis, which part of it sounds very much like the Elder Scrolls theme, which is kind of weird. And there's one that was in I think it was the oh man, what's the dude called that's always coming up with new recipes?
Oh, well, that guy with the glasses.
I remember his name. Completely blanked on his name. In his DLC, there's a track, and I can't remember what the track was called because it was his name and Ravus, Luna Freya's brother, is the name of the track, but so I can't remember it. But that was really good. So there's good music in there, but then there's a lot of, because it's an open world game, there's a lot of sort of like environmental and incidental music that kind of is in the background, really. Yeah, there's good music in every single Final Fantasy game. They've been putting out straight bangers since 1987, even right back to Final Fantasy 1. There's amazing music. Final Fantasy 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, they've all got really good music.
I mean, Terra's theme is brilliant. That's the theme
that's amazing.
Where it opens in the main game.
I don't know why. Every time I hear that, it makes me think of the Ghibli film Nausicaa. I don't know why. It's just got a kind of similar vibe, I think.
Yeah,
it's a really good track.
I mean, we should do a podcast of discussing of Ghibli films. I think that'd be quite interesting. They released a list, which I don't agree with the number one, which I remember sharing with you guys on.
Yeah, who was it that put this list out?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I just know they're wrong. I wouldn't have that as number one. I don't want to, well, not spoil it, but say, because maybe we'll do a podcast on like Ghibli music on films.
Pretty good. Yeah. And then we can find that thing again, and we can actually talk about the article in that podcast.
I mean, like we'll give our own lists as well, like our own top 10. I won't do like put all of the films in order, but I'll have my own. I got a good idea of my top 10.
Oh, it's wired.co.uk.
Yeah, Wired. You have fucking shit. I mean, like the order it's in is pretty decent, but they've got a few mixed up there. I'm gotta say. But yeah, we'll probably do something about that. But yeah, like one other game. I'm not like the whole soundtrack, but the opening, the main theme to that particular game, which stood out for me, which I feel really fit the game down to a T, was the opening theme, the opening main theme to The Last of Us one. It's like dun dun dun. I can't do it, but
it was all very the whole soundtrack was like very naturalistic guitar stuff, and it was Gustavo Santaolalla, the guy that did it.
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't get Troy Baker to do it because he's pretty handy on the guitar. You know, he
probably offered. He was like, guys, I can do the soundtrack. Guys, let me do the soundtrack. No, Troy, back off.
I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't use that song for the HBO live remake as the intro music for the series. I'd be surprised if they went with something completely different. That particular piece of music does seem to be a TV show
perfect for
and I would, if I heard that on like The Walking Dead or something similar, I would think, that kind of really suits it. But I mean, like the sound, the music itself from The Last of Us, especially one, nothing really stood out. It was very natural, and they use that theme a lot. But that theme sort of really fits in that world. Really, it's really somber and sort of like mournful and dour as well. It's quite sad because it is like a really bleak sort of game, isn't it? Especially 2. I mean, 2 was, I can't remember the songs they had on that, but I knew
I honestly can't remember any of the music from 2, but I remember quite a lot of the music from the first one.
But they fit in that sort of bleak sort of world that they live in perfectly. I mean, like, do you have any other that fits in? Because this is just our like sort of games that we love. Like,
it's not all encompassing, just kind of a bit of a primer.
I mean,
stuff we like.
We're probably missing out on a lot of games, but this is just our sort of personal ones. I mean, I'm in love with like the BioWare games, especially in Dragon Age 1, where you where Liliana starts singing in camp, which just came out random. She just has this angelic sort of like voice. She's like, oh, I was like, what the fuck?
It's kind of not the same, but similar to that. Like the Bard songs in Inquisition were amazing.
Oh yeah, I really like the Bard songs.
That was great. Like, just walk into an inn and
start
got like a Bard singing "Sarah Was Never" and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was one of them was singing the song that Liliana sang. I can't remember what the song is called. It was in Elvish, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or Elven rather.
Elven. I always called it Liliana's theme, but I think I'm wrong on that. She just starts singing it to the main protagonist, and everyone in the camp just stops to listen to her. It was quite a moving moment. And she's like, the Elves had a song. I was like, oh, let's hear it. And she just said,
I'm gonna kick myself when I remember what it was called, because I listened to that a lot. And I remember when I played Inquisition, I walked into an inn and the Bard was singing. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I remember what it was called. I'm pretty sure it had like an Elven name.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember that. It's cool as well. Who did the soundtrack to? Was it
Inon Zur did Origins? Who's doing Starfield at the moment as well.
Okay, man.
I have one more before we wrap up. It would be extremely remiss of me not to mention.
Remiss, huh? Oh, Nier Automata. Is that just Nier? Oh, isn't it?
This is both.
I can't because you've got white text. And it's reflecting, and I can't really see it properly.
But you can see Emil's little face.
Yeah, I can see his stupid face.
This is a box set of. There's 2 LPs of each game in there.
I mean, I like the main song, "The Weight of the World." That's so good.
It's very good. It's very different as well, but.
I'm just one girl. We're gonna show it now. Yeah,
I remember watching there was a guy on YouTube that did a metal version of it, and he's like a pretty big, like, tattooed metalhead guy from, I think he sounds like he's from like Poland or something, and he sings that line, "I'm only one girl," and I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange coming out of your mouth. It's a really good cover though. It's a really good cover. If you look on YouTube, it'll probably be the first one you find. But
isn't it like when you complete the game that starts playing when you're doing that sort of Space Invader bit?
Yeah, and then it goes into like a bit tune version of it as well, chip tune or whatever it's called. But that happens throughout Automata as well. Every time you're doing like the hacking mini game when you're playing as a 9S, I nearly said Emil. When you're playing as 9S, it like switches to like a chip tune version of the song that happened to be playing at the time, which is really cool. They do a lot of really interesting stuff with music in Nier Automata, but Nier Gestalt / Replicant, the first game, has my favourite soundtrack of all time. That's better for me. Like, got that right there, the special edition of Replicant, the remaster.
Man, we really need to upgrade our cameras. You're pointing to it, and I'm just like, I can't make that out, man.
Yeah, I know. It's because it's glossy paper. It's like glossy card, and the light is shining on it. But But yeah, like that's probably my favorite soundtrack of all time. I remember when I
Mm.
first started playing Final Fantasy 13, not 13, 14, in when it was in beta on the PS3, which was like early 2013, I think. And I was talking to a couple of people because I used to post on Eurogamer, the forum doesn't exist anymore, and a few of us started up a free company or guild if you're coming from another game in 14, and we were just talking in game one day, and I think we were talking about the music in A Realm Reborn, and just got talking about other soundtracks, and like two of them were like discussing what the best soundtracks are, and two of the people in the free company were like near, and I was like, I've heard that's good because I hadn't played it at that point. I think it came out in 2010, and they were like, yeah, it's the best soundtrack ever made, and I was like, that sounds like hyperbole. And then I went and played it, and I was like, that's not hyperbole. The soundtrack for Nier is just absurdly good.
Godlike, is it?
It is just very, very good. And I've got it on CD down there as well, but then I've got the LP version.
Yeah, you on the channel there is a couple of videos where Ross plays some of the LP, some of the songs on his vinyl player.
Yeah, I did an
Nier
unboxing of that Nier LP.
So go and check that out. I'll probably put a link in
excerpt.
I'll put a link in the YouTube descriptions so you can go and watch.
So yeah, if you're going to listen to one song from that soundtrack, listen to Kaine Salvation. But ideally play the game because there's just every track in it is incredible and just fits the scene so well.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, that's my final contribution.
That's your final contribution. Well, I think that's one hell of a way to end the podcast with.
Yeah, it's only down from there.
So it just goes down. I mean, we're missing out loads, but if you have a favorite soundtrack or on a particular game or piece of music, let us know in the comments on the YouTubes. Speaking of YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Game with Chums. Subscribe to our Twitch channel, Game with Chums, and give us a listen on Spotify as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you, pals.